Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whichever part of the world you are in. I hope you are healthy, keeping safe, and thriving, and fighting through this pandemic. We would rise from this pandemic, inshallah, in a much, much better way. We are here with yet another episode of BizWords, and today the topic is Reimagine Learning and Development. We would be talking to a loaded panel today. These guys are seasoned professionals and lots of experience in HR, learning, and OD. I have with me Atika Imtiaz, Haris Hussain, and Ramesh Siddiqui. As I usually say, I would not do justice to introductions, so I would let my guests do their introductions. Atika, you want to go first and tell us who you are and what
Thank
you've
you
been
so
up to?
much. Thank you so much for the lovely intro, Naman, and thank you so much for having us over. I'm Atika Imtiaz. I'm currently leading learning and organization development at KE. I've been associated with the HR industry for almost a decade now, primarily in talent management and learning and development, which is my passion also. I've been a facilitator of Franklin Covey's Seven Habits also, and situational leaderships Ken Blanchard by Ken Blanchard. So, that's about it. I worked in various industries from oil and gas to sales distribution, FMCG, and now in the power sector. Thank you.
Great. With the power, let's move to Haris, another power sector, currently power resident, I should say. You're a resident in power sector right now. Yeah.
Hi
Haris, can you give
everyone.
us your introduction?
Yeah, sure, Noman. Thank you so much for having me on board today. And we'll just begin with my name. I'm Haris Hussain, and I'm currently associated with Puma Energy, which is an oil marketing company, a multinational setup. It's been here in Pakistan for almost 2 years now, and I'm managing the HR operations for the country and managing the business partnering also. And previously, I call myself sometimes lucky, or you can say I had ample opportunity to work, in a diverse exposure, in a diverse sectors. Like, I started up with oil and gas sector, and then insurance sector happened somehow, and then I moved to a tech e-commerce sector. Then it was FMCG, where I spent almost 4 years as head of learning and OD, and now this is OMC. So a very diverse exposure, alhamdulillah. And I've been almost, in the industry for a decade, for more than a decade now, and alhamdulillah, I've pretty much covered most of the area within HR, like you call it OD, culture, transformation, HR services, and I've been a facilitator in a few trainings also, and yeah, the show is going on, alhamdulillah, and I hope I'll be able to add some really valuable things in today's session.
Great.
Inshallah.
Thank you, Haris. And Ramesh.
Hello, Naman. Thank you for inviting me in to be a part of this session. Let me start off with my name. My name is Ramiz, and currently I'm working with one of the biggest Pakistani retailer fast fashion brand, that is Khadi, and I'm looking after learning and development. Uh, Prior to Khadi, I was associated with Coca-Cola, where I also used to look after learning and development. So for me, it's been an experience like of 8 years almost in the HR. So I have done a lot, multiple interventions and multiple projects with different HR related departments as well. We call it talent acquisition, you call it IR, you call it OD. OD was one of my co-forte as well. So it was a very good experience and exposure overall in the past 8 years. So I try my best to give all the insights that I have with me uh, in this session. So yeah, thank you.
Great. Thank you guys for giving your time. I wouldn't say thank you for coming in. If we are all at home, I believe, or in our offices and working remotely. Thank you for giving your time. So learning and development, it's an interesting topic. On one hand, it really excites people, when you talk about learning new things, attending workshops, achieving mastery. On the other hand, we talk about how it's helping the organization to build competence. On the other hand, and I think हम सब इसमें से गुजर चुके हैं जब बिजनेस बोलता है कि जी लर्निंग का फायदा क्या है, टेंजिबल बेनिफिट्स बताएं हमें, इसके क्या निकल कर आते हैं, आरओआई जरा कैलकुलेट करके बताएं. अच्छा, किसी और डिपार्टमेंट से नहीं पूछा जाता, लेकिन लर्निंग से जरूर पूछा जाता है. So yeah, there is a lot that goes back and forth between business and learning, and yet again, learning is important, especially in this pandemic. जब learning curve इतना steep था, I think सबसे ज़्यादा जो importance रही है, other than communications and logistics, वो HR and HR के अंदर खास तौर पे learning and development की रही है, because just to get people ready, it was really important that learning and development takes charge and takes lead. So Atika, let's start with you. How do you think learning and development actually complements business strategy?
Very nice question, Noman. I think to begin with, we need to first understand how does L&D contribute to business strategy, because हमारी वो basic understanding भी सही नहीं है. L&D, I think, in the past decade has really transformed from being just a branch function which looked after trainings and which was considered as a perk more than anything uh, in the conventional way. And it has come a long way. I feel that now today it adds value strategically to the business also, and navigates the business through lots of new ideas that come up through different interventions also. So I think the role has transformed from being too basic to very strategic. How? For example, see, when business sets a strategy, uh, there are lots of challenges that are there, and you kind of swim through what are the gaps. You look at your workforce, you see where they're currently standing, and then you see that where you want their required competence to be, and then comes the role of learning and development and HR to provide all the resources that would make your workforce achieve all those business objectives. So that's basically the role that we play, um, to for organizations to achieve their business strategy and the milestones and targets that they set for themselves. Now comes what we're doing currently, and what will happen post pandemic, and where are we right now. I think traditionally what we've been doing right now, our focus should be considering the situation and scenario that we're in. These are uncertain times. We're all engulfed in an unknown fear of what's going to happen next. A lot of organizations would probably have to change the way they were doing business traditionally also. Business models are restructuring. Strategies and plans are going to be restructured altogether. So the times are pretty challenging, and so is our role going to be. It's going to be very critical. I think this is the time where LNOD has to step up and become more of a business partner by helping the business get over these crises. How? I think there are two very important aspects here that I'd like to talk about. The first and I think biggest challenge that businesses right now are facing is how to keep their workforce motivated, productive, and engaged. So, employee experience is one thing that really needs to be focused at, and how we can play a role there, I think, is by providing interventions, opportunities, platforms. Alhamdulillah, we have all the technology, and it has been always there. But COVID has probably is acting right now as an impetus to this change, which we wanted in the past. But now people are pushed, and they don't have another option. So we're making use of this technology, and it's surprising us every other day. So I mean, we're and there's so many examples out there also of how to keep your employees engaged by, because see, we are not in our normal circumstances. I talked about it in my previous webinar also. We're all trying to juggle between various roles, trying to adjust to this new way of working, remote working. You see, so keeping ourselves sane, uh, especially in this holy month of Ramadan, where we're spiritually busy also, and we have to try to manage our different roles. So organizations need to be really responsible, be engaged, be connected with their employees, and LNOD can play a catalyst role here by providing, I think, by industry is playing a huge role also. I would like to thank Noman and a lot of other consultancies that are offering such webinars and knowledge-based sessions free of cost. I think every business should make use of these. Uh, uh, Utilize, partner with lots of business experts, health professionals, nutritionists, mental
Yeah.
health professionals, and I
Yeah.
mean, probably through short sessions, uh, you can really, add them to synchronous or asynchronous campaigns, uh, keeping engaged through various gamified options. Like we just played at KE a Ludo competition within our department, and I cannot tell you how superbly it was handled, and everybody loved it. So these
Was
are
it
because
Star
we're
Ludo by any chance? The
Star
app?
Ludo Star, yeah, Ludo Star, Ludo Star. So I mean, things
It takes
like
away a
that
lot of
kind
my
of
time these
just,
days.
yeah, and these things are really important to let
Yeah.
people know that we are there and we are all in this together, and we're, just because
Right.
we're socially distanced from each other doesn't mean that we are disconnected. So I think L&D can play a huge role here by offering all these opportunities and uh, providing them all the resources, because the show must go on. Uh,
True.
Also the business plans that were already there, your learning calendars, everything is in a halt right now. But fortunately, we have virtual trainings now being offered. We can now make use of all the e-learning modules that we had there and nobody wanted to do them.
Right.
We
Yeah.
are
So
compelled to do them.
yeah, and I think Atika very well said that on one hand you need to keep the workforce engaged,
Yeah.
motivated, as well as look at productivity, and this is, and I think these times definitely are great times for learning to make its impact. Work hand in hand with the business strategy. Work as a business partner. Um, all the viewers who are online, it would be great if you can leave your name in the comments box, and if you have any questions, do leave them also, because towards the end of not towards the end, in the next segment, we would be taking your questions. So please leave your name and your questions, if any, in the comments box. Haris, coming to you. So Atika spoke about how it's playing an important role in strategy. How suddenly L&D is slightly taken a little bit seriously. But let's look at it. Do you really think, and pardon me for being blunt, खुल के दिल से दिल की जो बात होती है वो करते हैं जरा यहाँ पर, L&D को traditionally, conventionally and even currently, luxury के तौर पर लिया जाता है या necessity के तौर पर लिया जाता है?
Thank you, Numan. I think a wonderful question, and every L&D manager, maybe Atika and like Rameez, हम सब ने ये सवाल बहुत बार सुना होगा, I'm sure, and we've been explaining this to the line managers and stakeholders continuously. I have a very relevant example, to share about. Uh, like I'll tell you one thing that suddenly what happened कि आपने एक जोक देखा होगा इंटरनेट के ऊपर कि सैनिटाइजर घर का वो फर्द है जो यूजलेस होता था और एकदम से उसकी जो वो गवर्नमेंट जॉब लग गई है उसकी वैल्यू एकदम से बढ़ गई है. So on a lighter note, of course, our L&D was obviously there. They've been doing great work, but suddenly, within this COVID-19, there is immense realization by senior management, I guess, that they are really doing great work. So coming to your question, I'll ask, so it's been now more than a decade that we've been doing learning development. We've been investing millions and billions in this industry, and then eventually we end up asking this question. और आप सबने वो जुलेखा वाली कहानी तो सुनी भी होगी. So बिल्कुल ये वही वाला है कि हम इतना कुछ कर रहे हैं, लर्निंग में इन्वेस्ट भी कर रहे हैं, eventually we ask कि जुलेखा मर्द थी या औरत. सुबह पूरी कहानी सुनने के बाद तो वी आस्क कि यार वाकई इसकी जरूरत है या बस हम वैसे ही पैसे जाया किए जा रहे हैं. So I'll ask you, Numan, one question, like, do you save some amount of money every month?
Yes.
Do you invest some amount of money every month?
Every month? No.
Every quarter, every year? So
Maybe
so
in a
like
year,
what?
yes. Yeah.
Yeah, so what investment can be like, like people would be investing in their life insurance, maybe in their
Mhm.
children's education plan, in their
Mhm.
uh, even kind of provident fund and gratuity fund is also kind of investment. That's why we do not take them out every 6 months. Similarly, some people invest in mutual funds. So there are investments which are short term, mid term, and then long term also, that we have been doing it regularly. I hope you guys agree with me. Why
Yeah,
do we
yeah,
do it?
absolutely.
Yeah.
Why do we do it? So maybe I have a short term plan that I'm going to buy a maybe brand new Civic next year. So for that I need to have around 4 million rupee, right? So if I start saving it today, and I save 4 million by the end of the year, so would I be able to afford that next year? No, I guess not. So what happens? We invest it in the investment channels, so that my money appreciates, or at least maintains its principal value, so that I could fulfill my responsibility or my dream next year. Similarly, what happens? The organization, so I always try to simplify things. हम जब अब real life examples लेते हैं तो हमें ज़्यादा चीजें relate करने में आसानी होती है. I'm a very critical evaluator and thinker in this view. So when we take it on an organization, so जिस तरह organization plan करती है कि उनकी डाउन द लाइन 5 साल 6 साल में क्या मार्केट के अंदर अप्रोच होगी, क्या मैन्युफैक्चरिंग कैपेसिटी होनी चाहिए, क्या मार्केटिंग स्ट्रेटजी होनी चाहिए, कितना वो बना रहे होंगे, कितना वो बेच रहे होंगे, एंड accordingly they keep investing and preparing themselves in terms of infrastructures and their strategy.
Right.
So now when we talk about the human capital or HR people, the assets of the organization, जिनको हम किसी बैलेंस शीट में तो नहीं दिखाते, लेकिन हम बातों में बहुत ज्यादा जिक्र करते हैं कि वो हमारा ह्यूमन कैपिटल है, and eventually we do not see what investment exactly needs to be done in them. So similarly,
Right.
that is an investment that we made in our human capital by training them, by providing them ample opportunity to up level their skills, their competencies, so that they are prepared today, tomorrow, and in the upcoming challenges down the line, 3 years, 5 years. So similarly, this is an investment which we are making in our personal life, in order to fulfill our responsibility here. Organizations
Haris,
needs to
let me put
make.
it back to you. Investments usually are done in luxuries. Necessity में तो बंदा रोजी रोटी कपड़ा मकान की फिक्र करता है ना सर, and that's exactly how business is, right?
बिल्कुल सही है. So
Invest करेंगे इस वक्त तो survive बात करो. So yeah. So
I
again,
think this.
I'm sorry for bringing it to you. Is it really a necessity?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Come again.
I said. So again, coming back to the same question: luxury or necessity? So I agree, it's an investment, and I think your analogies were amazing. But
Yeah.
अच्छे वक्तों में की जाए, बुरे वक्तों में की जाए, साथ साथ चलाई जाए, क्या होना चाहिए?
I think this is what happens.
No,
Yeah,
please
I think.
continue.
Let me
All
take
right.
Haris's comment and then come to you,
Yeah.
Atika, in just a minute. Yeah.
I think what happens, Numan, you need to do these things in your prosperity, so that you can, do not get into very deep trouble at the time of your adversity. So today at COVID-19, when people are struggling, in performance, and as an HR person, I can tell you, like, today most of the definition for the high performers and high potential people have also changed. So people who were star performers at the office, they somehow, I'm not saying everyone, but some of them would not have been, really able to cope up with the situation. And somebody who was a deadwood or kind of, low performer, he's been an amazing performer in these circumstances. So eventually what happens, that you need to make all these investments when things are going good, so that you can reap up the benefit when everything is normal, or like where you so that you can reap the benefit when something is not normal actually.
Yeah. So the ant philosophy, right? कि जो ये जो कीड़ियां हैं, ant है, वो जमा करती हैं ताकि सर्दियों में जो है वो उसको कर सके. Aris, I'll come back to you. Atika, you wanted to add something to that, and then I'll go to
I
Ravi.
think Haris pretty much covered what I wanted to say. That dynamics are changing, and if we won't invest in our employees right now, it will ultimately further worsen our bottom line. So we need to understand it's a critical requirement, and it shouldn't even be a question, I feel, in this day and age, because where we're standing right now, if we leave our people as is, आप सिर्फ आज की example ले लें, we are working remotely. If we don't equip our people with the right resources, if we do not take care of their uh, learning needs, everything is going to uh, go
Go down the lane.
go
Yeah.
down the lane. Exactly, go down the lane, and we will have to really, we can't let just them be, so
Yeah, correct.
it's not,
Yeah.
I feel it's a necessity, and I think businesses have come to this realization, thankfully, that we cannot just let our people be. And if somebody still is asking that question, I think they really need to uh, look at it the other way.
And I deliberately picked up this question because अगर मुझे कोई पूछता ये बात तो ऐसा लगता है कि मैं अपना जो है वो बिजनेस बेचने के लिए शायद कह रहा हूँ कि it's a necessity, it's not a luxury, but I think rightly said that it's an investment, and it should be taken as an investment and considered as an investment. And उसकी मिसाल वो खाने में नमक की तरह से ना, जब नहीं होता है तब पता लगता है कि क्या हो रहा है. So
Absolutely.
you don't invest on your people, and then you know what the return over investment is. And with this,
Yeah,
let me quickly go to Rameez.
Yeah,
Rameez has been
just
yeah, Harith.
being very
one thing
patient.
that
Yeah.
in continuation that I was actually about to say, ऐसा नहीं है कि it's only the misperception or that people are unable to understand. There have been some mistakes on L&D people also. The strategy have somewhere or the other, of course, कहीं ना कहीं आग लगती है तो धुआं उठता है, कोई shortcoming होती है तो लोग बात करते हैं. So I'm not talking about the very the normal thing, but as a big set of companies, they have probably they are struggling to keep up with the right strategy of learning, and आप कह सकते हैं कि the frustration of stakeholders in those companies is somehow justified also. So we'll definitely discuss how this needs to be done in later in the session, definitely.
We'll do that. Yeah. And rightly said, बहुत मर्तबा हमारे clients के साथ जब बात हो रही होती है, and I usually quote, I said learning में glamour बहुत ज़्यादा है, but it's not just about glamour. We need to take it seriously. Rameez, with COVID and especially being in the retail sector, जिसने काफी hit ली है, I think बाकी सारे power sectors तो चल रहे थे और दुनिया को चला रहे थे, and जिस सारी governments ने सबसे ज़्यादा retail को बंद किया है. And I think that was required also from safety reasons. But certainly in COVID and in this pandemic, high tech is becoming important. There's no doubt about it. We all are talking about technology, digitization. On the other hand, थोड़ा सा जिस तरह से आतिका ने भी शुरू में mention किया कि human element is also becoming very important, because suddenly we are not together, we're missing each other. So high tech, high human. The new business model is just high tech, high touch. I would call it high tech, high human. How do you think L&D can prepare for future for a model which is very high tech and extremely very high human also?
Very valid question, Noman. I would like to answer this question in three segments. What I mean is I keep high tech separate and high human separate. So when we talk about high tech, definitely there is a need that has been come up and that has been felt with the technology during this pandemic situation. Technology means, like as Atika, as Haris said, that the teams are now performing virtually. So the need of virtual platforms, like how many people across Pakistan or across globe have used multiple softwares to connect daily. For example, most popular softwares are Skype, Zoom, Blue Jeans, Microsoft Teams. Along with these, there are other tech softwares as well on which you monitor the task of your team. If I give you an example, ClickUps. ClickUps is an app that can be integrated with your systems to assign tasks to different people and to assign the deadlines. Very few people were using within the industry, or if you say a chunk of people, project management software, MS Project, if you have heard about it. Only why project managers are using MS Project. MS Project is a software that is designed to use for any project. It has timelines, it has financials, it has authorities, it has delegations, it has tasks, everything. So So, thinking about all these tech related things now and going forward is very important. These things, as an L&D professional, as an L&D professionals, I must feel that these are the upcoming needs of the industry that should be that should give to that with these you should empower your employees so that they can be ready for any situation like this in the future.
Mhm.
God forbid not. On the other side, if I say about high tech human, here I talk about two things which are very important during this situation, which I personally feel maybe you guys can agree or disagree. One is communication, and the other one is emotional. I say emotional stability of the employees.
Mhm.
You see, when I say emotional stability of the employees, like initially, majority of the population in our country and globally have not thought of work from home as a continuous method of working.
Mhm.
But as the time
Yeah.
passes, this work from home is working out for everybody. What this work from home has done to us, work from home is not easy as it was working in the office, because while working from home yourself or your mind is engaged into many other things, like
Right.
your time to deliver has been increased. Initially
Right.
in office I used to go at 9 o'clock in the office, come back at 5, but while working from home probably my time for working has been increased,
Right.
because शायद मैं 10 से 11 कुछ ऐसी चीज में बिजी होता था कि मैं काम नहीं कर रहा होता था, बट
Mhm.
अगेन 5 से 6 मैं उसको कंपनसेट कर रहा होता था.
Mhm.
Similarly, being at home, there are other things that is coming to you, probably kids, families, any other task that come to you. So for that, very important thing is emotional stability. Like the teams have to have such kind of a bonding and such kind of a cognizant of people's feeling, that they understand while working from home situations like these do comes. There can be delays, there cannot be delays, but you should empower your people to complete what the task has given to them. On the other hand, if I talk about communication, yes, that has become very important. uh, how many of you have been ready for leading virtual teams? Probably this is the first time we are experiencing how virtual teams have been led. So communication comes a very important role, that how you should assign or talk to your team on daily basis, how the deliverables has to be set for daily basis or for weekly deliverables. So these three things I feel are very important going forward, that should learning and development professionals think
Right.
about
Yeah.
technology, emotional stability, and the ways of communication virtually.
That's true, and I think the most common words that we've been listening is empathy, human connection, because these are the things which were taken probably either for granted. लेकिन
Yeah.
अब हमें जो है एहसास हो रहा है एक जमाना था वो आई थिंक आपने देखा होगा बीबीसी की एक वीडियो थी जिसमें एक बंदा जो है वो सूटेड बूटेड बैठ के इंटरव्यू दे रहे हैं सडनली उसके बच्चे दरवाजा खुल के अंदर आ जाते हैं और काफी उसमें मजाक जो है वो हो रही थी but now it is a normal and nobody takes it very seriously वो एक बात होती है professionalism क्या होता है so yeah empathy human connection and on the other hand this whole new world of digital learning has opened up. Atika, you want to share something on this because before I go to the next question, I think this is an important one, high tech as well as high human.
Yeah. High tech, high human. Absolutely, I think spot on by Ramesh. I think the age that we've entered into, and none of us know how many months we're going to stay like this. But what I'm sure of right now is that habits are going to change, and uh, once we go back, our perceptions about learning space, perceptions about connecting professionally will drastically be modified. So thankfully, COVID-19 has done the job for us. All we have to do as professionals is to keep an eye on providing these platforms and making sure the continuous use of these platforms is happening. And
Right.
even I think encouraging your, because for example, KE is a huge organization, 11,000 employees, dispersed across the city. And before the this pandemic happened, we had to travel to conduct each meeting despite of having MS Teams and all of these
Right. Yeah.
technologies right on our phones and our laptops. We still used to travel because we just couldn't uh, probably visualize how a virtual meeting would work, and that's how it has been going on for years. But it has changed the dynamics now altogether. So I think encouraging the continuous use of this technology, uh, learning is actually happening right now, so everybody is getting accustomed to these tools, which is,
Right.
I think, in favor of us. We just have to push and make sure that the continuous use and the positive use of these happens, and engagement levels and human connect and the employee experience initiatives that we are taking right now should also continue, because this is, I think, going to be the new normal from now onwards.
It is, and if I can add to that, Atika, how, as an L&D head, do you ensure that people are taking personal responsibility and personal accountability for all these remote learnings that's happening? When we talk about ROI, so how do you ensure that?
Okay, first of all, we need to understand, when the word personal accountability comes, the accountability lies with the person, right?
Correct.
We have
Well
come
said.
from an age of learning being a push from HR and organization to a self learning drive. And
Yeah.
we have really fought our way through it. It has been a struggle. It is a struggle till date. But I think, again, I would like to take benefit of the situation. Everybody is compelled and is probably thinking on those lines because there's lots of competition out there. Uh, मैंने अगर एक डिग्री ली हुई है या 4 सर्टिफिकेशंस ली हुई हैं, there's always somebody out there who's done better than me and is open to doing more, add more value to their work. So
Yeah.
we, I think, as individuals, now have all the time on our hands to think and reflect on those lines. So I think the dynamics have shifted. People are coming up to me and asking me for, so many trainings and opportunities, learning opportunities that are out there. Alhamdulillah, we have lots of resources available online. The dynamics of L&D has shifted across globally. So it's all there. Personal accountability, I would say, shouldn't be a push, should never be a push. Uh,
Right.
it should be the responsibility of the individual. I can't tell you today to do 4 trainings, even if I make that investment in you and you are not there without a reason. You don't understand why you're there. The learning won't happen, retention won't happen. So it will be just, dollars wasted. So I wouldn't
Correct.
want to do that. And that has
Correct.
always been my belief.
Right.
What
Well,
was the other part of your question, Noman? I'm sorry, I'm forgetting.
the same, when business usually asks for the ROI and
Yeah,
accountability and
ROI.
saying, uh,
I have a really nice example to share here. And in fact, building on to what Haris said, uh, let's take an example from our early childhood. जब हम बच्चे होते हैं, so our parents invest in our education, they pay for our fee.
Mhm.
Nobody asks them कि इसका ROI क्या होगा, और अगर कोई पूछ भी लेता उनसे, तो I don't think they'll be able to give you a dollar value कि जी मैं इसलिए इस पे आज 12 लाख खर्च कर रहा हूँ because later he will return me into 30 million or 40 million. So you can't do
और
that.
अगर वो
It's
डॉलर वैल्यू दे पेरेंट्स तो उनको कहेंगे क्या घटिया बात की है आपने सो
exactly.
या
So we need to understand the approach there. There's an emotional connect. Parents own their kids. They want them to flourish in their lives. And ultimately, that has an impact on the parents' life also. I think organizations today need to have that kind of approach. We have come a long way from thinking, from taking employees as merry resources. There has to be a human perspective to that. Today, to survive, to retain people, and to be productive and maintain that competitive edge in the market. Otherwise, it won't. That's, I think, that's why a lot of organizations are excelling, and that's the reason why a lot of organizations are still struggling, because they're still stuck with these questions of ROI and is it a worthy investment or not. It's time to move on from this debate and establish that knowledge does return in a always gives a positive return. If you invest and increase and upskill somebody, this will never have a negative impact. If not positive, it will never have a negative impact. So let's have that kind of approach and stop asking these ROI questions, please.
No, I think that's very well said. That knowledge would
Yeah,
always have that return, as Haris said that
yeah,
it's an investment. Haris, I'll just come to you in a minute. I'll
yeah.
just have a quick look at who are the people who've joined us. So we have Naeemuz Zaman. Naeem is a senior procurement person in Sanofi Dubai. We have Hina Akhtar. She's a good friend. She's also the head of HR with Aisha Steel. We have Mansha. Hi Mansha. We have Nissa with us. Saman Mazhar says hello to all of you, all those who know her. We have quite a few people over here. What I would also want is from our viewers, as Atika said, and as Haris also mentioned about investment. Ramesh spoke about the digital skills. Um, एक ऐसी चीज जो आपने सीखी है, something new. What is that
Naman, I would.
investment you've done on your knowledge? Please share it in the comments. And also, we'll quickly be going to the next segment of questions. So do share your comments. Haris, over to you. Yeah.
Naman, if you allow, I would like to add on what Atika said. I think this is the most comprehensive and beautiful example that I've come across so far. This is rightly said, and I think now people should actually focus on more important things than asking these, traditional or paradox questions. But still, if you want to look at what exactly TNT is doing and how you can measure it, you can look at the promotability of your people. How many senior positions are you trying or have been filling up internally? How your homegrown talent is taking over new projects. If you're spending a lot on your people, but again you have to hire expensive people from the market every time a senior position opens up, then of course there is something that you are not doing right, I think. And I believe that area, the succession planning, the
Yeah.
individual development plans of everybody, need to be
Yeah.
seriously taken, crafted, and executed. We need to come out of this approach that एक्सेल माइक्रोसॉफ्ट एक्सेल के ऊपर हमने लोगों का डेटा डाल दिया and हम उनको एक एम्प्लॉय नंबर ट्रीट ना करें. We need to sit with their line managers, their functional managers, and with
Yeah.
employee also, and get to know what exactly needs to be taught. हमें, I think this is the high time, हमें बहुत पहले
Yeah.
ये चीज कर लेनी चाहिए थी, but चलें, by virtue of this COVID-19 we need to bring ourselves out of that basic courses, randomly picking up people and sending them for the courses जहाँ पे अब जैसी लर्निंग की बात होती है तो हमारे जहन में एकदम से एक 5 स्टार होटल आ जाता है, कारपेटेड रूम होगा उसका,
The glamour.
देयर बी ग्लैमर लाइटिंग, और पहला ब्रेक 10:30 होगा. ठीक है, उस घर से नाश्ता तो करके नहीं जाना है, वहां उस ब्रेक में आंखें खोलनी है, उससे पहले क्या हुआ वो नहीं पता हमें. And then we'll definitely keep waiting for that lavish lunch at 1 till 2, and फिर दूसरा ब्रेक होगा 3:30 and then सर्टिफिकेट्स लेके हम 5 बजे घर चले जाएंगे. सीखा क्या हमने एग्जैक्टली? Nobody
Talks about
actually
that.
is answerable. क्या
Yeah.
जो लोग
Amazing.
गए,
True.
Well
जो
said.
लोग गए वो भी कुछ नहीं कहते हैं, जो लोगों ने भेजा वो भी उनसे नहीं पूछते, and when they come back, so now here is a very interesting part. When they come back to their work, and चले उन 25 पार्टिसिपेंट्स में से 70% लोगों ने नहीं सुना, एंड 30% लोग बहुत ही ज्यादा सिंसियर थे अपनी लर्निंग एंड डेवलपमेंट से, एंड they grasped every word which was taught. They'll come back to their work very motivated. ठीक है, 3-4 दिन वो एक्सट्रीम हाइपर मोटिवेशन मोड के ऊपर काम करेंगे, और उनका मैनेजर कहेगा अभी भी ट्रेनिंग करके आया ना, बस ठीक है 4 दिन बाद ठीक हो जाएगा. So I think this is the situation which is prevailing. I'm not saying everywhere. There are certain organizations who've been inspiration. अच्छा, L&T के लोगों का I think एक बड़ा weak connection है आपस में. I don't know, this is my feeler. HR के forums बहुत strong हैं जहाँ पर जाना होता रहता है, कहीं ना कहीं हम उनसे मिलते ही रहते हैं. So in T&D we usually do not discuss our strategies very openly. So, and this is why we do not seek inspiration from other organizations, and ultimately we end up doing the same training need analysis every year and putting the same training calendar every year, calling up all the trainers and meeting with them, and eventually ending up with nothing.
Yeah.
I was meeting up with one of the top consultant of Pakistan. I hope he'll be listening. Might be, I will not take the name. And he said that we tell client everything. We give them very comprehensive ideas. We tell them what world is doing, what other organizations are doing, and at the end of the meeting they tell us कि अच्छा चलें आप ये communication skills का या team building का जो है वो ये एक दिन का session करवा दें. And then he says we have to do it. हम क्या कर सकते हैं? We say that all right, we'll do it. So this is how it is going, I think. So yeah.
Yeah, but I think very well said that but COVID ने आंखें खुली है because अब जो है वो need based learning हो
I
रही
think
है.
सबसे ज्यादा अगर कोविड से किसी इंडस्ट्री को फायदा हुआ है तो मेरे ख्याल से LNOD professionals को हुआ है, because things that they really wanted to make happen are actually now happening, and without a lot of push from us. And I think this is going to be the end of our struggle once we go back to our normal.
Yeah.
Hopefully,
A
touch
blessing
wood,
in
when we go
disguise.
back, things would not come back to the old normal, as they
Just-
say, and the new normal.
Hopefully.
Ramesh, let's move a little bit ahead.
Just
As an
like-
organization, and especially part of the retail. Sorry, you wanted to add something?
Yeah, just want to add on the accountability part. As Atika mentioned, that accountability is something that cannot be pushed. But during this pandemic situation, it has been realized that the current skill sets that everybody has to perform a job role or the task, you need much more than that. Like every individual, myself, I'm talking about myself as well, that if I just know how to perform a role of a learning manager, but along with that, I need to know some other tasks as well, so for which I am accountable for my learning as well. So with time, I think I have witnessed for a job role, but they are looking for a bigger purpose now.
Correct. And this is brings me, especially you being in the retail sector, customer तो हर जगह important होता है. चाहे आप KE की बात कर लें, आप oil and gas, आप Puma Energy की बात कर लें, everywhere the customer is important. But retail जो है वो, I think उसकी frequency of customer interaction is much more than other sectors. As L&D professionals, we usually focus on voice of people, voice of the organization. How do you think L&D can play an important role in drafting a business strategy that also takes in place the voice of customer, helping our employees to make sure that they are able to relate to their ultimate needs also? वरना फिर वही होता है जो Kodaks and Konikas and Nokias के साथ हुआ, sadly. So how do you think as L&D professional we can keep in mind the voice of customer whilst drafting a learning strategy?
Okay, so very relevant question, especially from my sector as well. It plays a really important role if you talk about the voice of the customers. Actually, at the end of the day, you have to satisfy the customer needs. Similarly, at the same time, you have to take along with the voice of the customers.
Is it just me or we've lost?
Yeah,
And
I
with
think
the input of your
there's a problem.
employees. So the customer experience has to be enhanced.
He's back.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you. Your screen seems to have hanged a bit. Go on, Ramesh.
And especially in this time, hello?
Yeah, Ramesh, go on.
Yes,
We can hear you well.
Sorry for this lagging. And especially in this time, basically your employees who are facing your frontline employees who are facing your customers, they are the change makers at this point of time. They have to
Yep.
engage the customers and give them that in the retail sector, but in the customer services sector. Like if Atika, if you can agree with me, like your industry also related with the customer services. So
Yeah.
we have to people are already frustrated. So if you enhance their customer experience, similarly, side by side, taking care of your employees, not by just pushing your employees to enhance the customer experience, but also consider your employees as a part of your entire organization. So this goes hand in hand for the organization strategy.
देखिए
And Ramesh, how do you think organizations, especially L&D department, जी Atika, जी Atika,
can I
you were
add
adding
on to?
something?
Yeah. I mean, I
Yeah, I'd like to
couldn't
prevent Ramesh
hear
later.
completely what Ramesh was trying to say, but I think, as far as your question is concerned, see, this is the age of data. Data analytics play a huge role. So, as far as inculcating customer voice in your learning strategy, I think the customer data, which is immensely there, we need to properly have analytics applied to it, and whatever analysis that comes out of it should be applied to all relevant areas, not just L&D. I think whichever functions are supposed to, cater to that issue or concern should be working on that, and that's how it's happening also. And it's no different for L&D. If what we do is that we have immense data. Our feedback systems are pretty digital also. We have various platforms where we get customer voice, and we have data analytics applied to them also. So we keep that data as it trickles down as part of our strategy. So once the
Right,
strategy is there in your L&D objectives, it is automatically covered, I think.
right, right. Ramesh, are you there with us? I think Ramesh is having some
So,
internet
Yeah.
connection.
issues, yeah.
Haris, you want to add something, and then we'll
Yeah,
take a few questions from our viewers also.
yeah, Numan, sure. I've seen a comment also by Mr. Sahib Kareem. He's a great guy, and I'm a big fan of him also. If you can, display his question also, I would like to relate this, this HR strategy thing only when L&D professionals would like to, or will be able to craft a comprehensive L&D strategy. Then only they can have, their C-level position within the board, of course. How we are doing it and how should we do it? I think how when the discussions take place, what happens, they set 3 years goal, they set 2 years goal, and then 1 year, of course, and then they set 5 years strategy also. So this is what board is doing. uh, the way they are setting their financial goals, the way they are setting their manufacturing goals, how they are going to add into their infrastructure and etc, there should also be a part how the human capital's competency needs to be revised in order to meet those goals or the objectives. So let's say the organization so right now, it's happening somewhere middle के अंदर जो है वो this is happening कि line managers HR से coordinate कर रहे हैं कभी. This should be a top down approach, I guess. The way the annual goals and the 3 years and 5 years strategy is done in the boardroom, similarly, the competencies or the skill set to be required in down the road, should also be discussed, benchmarked, and people should be prepared on them. So this is, I think, how you can lay out a comprehensive strategy that can add a significant value into your business. So जैसे business partnering का concept है, I'll take out so HR BP role, so I've been a business partner also, so I can understand and relate it better in a way. So there should be learning business partnering also,
Right.
you know. So
Yeah.
I think you need to understand business, you need to understand your people, and then you need to understand what the objectives are, and then you should be someone who bridges that gap, the competency gap, with your strategy.
Acha, I'd like to
Great.
add on
Yeah.
to
Well
Haris, and
said. Yeah, Atika.
I agree to most of what he said. I think to the question is that, I mean, to be in a C-level position, what do leaders and LOD specifically role should be doing, because they're not offered usually these top level positions in the organization. So not just for L&D, I think for any specialized leader in whatever domain they are, business acumen plays a huge role when you want to climb up to any C-level position. You cannot
True.
be a specialist in one area and later on become a CEO. You may, but I think you will not be a holistic leader in that sense. So to
Right.
become an exceptional, influential, holistic leader, I think your exposure, experience, and acumen and understanding of the business should be extremely crystal clear, and you should have that kind of exposure, and you should curate a path for yourself if that's your target. Mostly L&D professionals who are professionals of this field do not aspire to become CEOs of different organizations. I think that's not where they what's not probably the target is. They're too passionate about what they do, and that's what they want to do in the future also. But if that's where you want to go, and if you don't want to be a specialized person, you want to look at a more holistic leadership role, then I think enhancing your business acumen and curating a path like that for your prepare an individual development plan, share with your leaders, and try to gain that kind of exposure within the organization
Right.
uh, to be a top level
Yeah,
leader.
and cross-functional exposure is important. The
Extremely
CEO,
important.
yeah,
Yeah.
extremely important. You cannot just be a CEO by just being in just one function and having no knowledge of the other function. Ramesh, you're back with us. Thank you, Sai, for this question. We'll be taking more questions now. So please do leave them in the comments, and we'll ask our viewers to answer them. Ramesh, and this question, by the way, is for all three of you. If I am an aspiring L&D professional, probably just recently out of university at the first year, I'm looking at the future. I'm very passionate about learning and development. Ramesh, what are some of the competence that I should be building to become the best in class L&D professional?
At this point of time, considering the situation currently, uh, I feel once, as Atika said, I should know my business. That's really
Hmm.
important, because if I know my business, I will be able to fill all the gaps as an L&D professional where the learning
Yeah.
needs to be done.
Right.
Secondly, I need to have a command on those topics which are very much relevant to current business needs. Just as you mentioned that you have to be in different job roles, like cross functional teams or cross functional projects. But do I need to have those capabilities or competence to be developed in me, so that I can deliver on those competencies to all the employees, so they can
Right.
benefit out of it.
Right. Right. Haris?
Numan, if you can please come up, if you can revise the
So
question.
if I'm an aspiring L&D professional right
Yeah.
now, and I want to be the best in class, और आजकल तो बहुत कुछ available है ना online to build competence, and then also free of cost. What are some of the competencies? What are some of the what is that competence? What should I be doing? What should I be learning? How do I build myself to be the best in class L&D professional?
Yeah, Numan, I think so if you are an inspiring and you have just graduated from the universities, probably you'll do better than most of the people who are already doing it in a paradox or in its old school way. So I think what you need to consider is at this point in time that this COVID-19 will have a significant impact today and of course after this also. We'll have modified, or you can say different personalities. So you should be innovative enough to bring in the ways that you can engage people and you can attract people towards learning. What happens today is that we have, like we have people who are mostly not interested in learning. Why I'm saying this, like you can see, there are more schools. I think in every street there is a school, and then less colleges and then less universities. It means they drop out somewhere, in between. And then of course when you come into the corporate, आप किसी भी बंदे के पास randomly जाके पूछें कि यार कराची में कोई 3 लाइब्रेरीज के नाम ही बता दो, and you'll
क्यों मजाक
and
करते
I'm
हो
sure
भाई?
you'll be able to relate what I'm saying, and आप बहुत सारे लोगों से ये पूछ के देखें कि what was the last book that you read. So maybe it would have been their textbook, or university notes that they had last gone through. So I think this is the problem which is prevailing since forever. हम हमारे यहाँ पर as a nation हमें पढ़ाई लिखाई से थोड़ा सा लगाव कम है. So we need to, I think, come up with the innovative ways where we can engage people more in different ways. So learning, of course, virtual learning, online courses are one that's there, but there can be some sort of solution like gamification is there nowadays. Okay? Recruitment has been taken over by gamification nowadays. So similarly, some sort of stuff can be executed, implemented within L&D also, and this can be done. One more thing that so if you are a fresh one, of course, you will be able to do in a better way because you do not have those backlog what people having 10, 12 years experience already are having some sort of eventually. One thing that we have not, I think I've seen lots of people not discussing this. So we are still worried about millennials, managing and engaging millennials. You will see lots of seminars, lots of workshops, millennials and all. Sir, millennials आकर जो है ना वो अरसा दराज गुजर गया. Now the time is generation Z का कौन सोचेगा? If we are discussing millennials, if we are discussing millennials today, then when are we going to lay out a strategy for the Gen Z? And they have already entered in the market. And I was reading a research and it said that by 2020, 24% of the total workforce would be Generation Z. And this is surprising, but we are not prepared, I guess. They are totally different than millennials. अगर millennials को work from home देने में और flexi hours देने में और just अगर वो selfie खींच रहा था तो उसकी class लेने में अगर हमने इतना time लगाया तो Gen Z के साथ तो हम बाल जो है ना नोच लेंगे, सर जो है वो हम नोचना शुरू कर देंगे.
तो अलग ही मखलूक होगी ना, वो तो समझ में ही नहीं आएगी. So how as L&D professionals, Haris, do we prepare for this? Problems to hand.
Yeah, I said, this you have to see already what is the difference. So Generation Z or today's generation, even millennials have, those things or those qualities within them, of course. They have more screen time, shorter attention span, and more content available.
If I'm able to understand from you, I think L&D not just in terms of corporate needs, but understanding the human psychology, blending it with the business agenda, understanding the human themselves, and then taking it further. Haris, I'll come back to you. Atika, a few comments on building competent for L&D, and then we'll take some questions also from the audience. We have
very
around
well,
7 people viewing us. So if you have any or any comments, please do share it with our panel. Yes, Atika.
So I think very well said, Noman. As Haris said, dynamics have changed. Generation C is coming to the workplace. We have to be mentally and physically ready to welcome them and give them the right resources so that they're productive in the environment. So, rightly so, new entrants who want to join L&D should be well equipped with both ends: a, the psychological aspect of it, and b, the anything and everything that's related to the digital age that we have entered into. So knowledge, so L&D is not just workshops, class based training. It has transformed as an industry. If you're planning to enter into this industry, you must have you know get yourself equipped with instructional designing principles, with adult learning principles, with gamification, rightly said by Haris, as in is the new thing and has uh, a lot of value addition into employee development also. So look at how we can make sustainable solutions for people to learn through gamification, also how we can incorporate it into our traditional learning ways and methodologies. I
Right.
think
Yeah.
this generation is the best to come up with these innovative ideas and things that they actually get to learn from. So I mean, they all they need to do is first understand all aspects of learning and OT, and then enhance their knowledge into these areas and understand that the dynamics have shifted. For example, I was reading this study: 62% of the budget allocation earlier in 2018, it's a study by ATD, was based on traditional classroom based learning. So 62% of the budget, which is huge, and then the rest of it was divided between um, through external suppliers and through different
Remote.
certifications and courses. This shift is going to be drastic in the years to come, and I think
Mm.
the change from a traditional classroom learning to self learning, making use of simulations, making use of online learning modules is going to be huge. So, as the more knowledge you have on these things, the more prospects you have of getting a better job and adding more value into wherever
And
you're
then
working.
listening to your views, Haris, Ramiz, and Atika, I think a lot of this knowledge is required in today's L&D professionals also, not just aspiring. हम सबको जो है वो
Absolutely,
इन तमाम चीजों की जरूरत है. I and then
absolutely.
rightly said, I used to travel a lot between Gulf and to Pakistan also. Now I'm sitting over here and running workshops in Saudi and in Pakistan, and it's just amazing on one end. On the other end, it's also challenging because it's a completely new skill to master. Using
Mm,
digital gamification, using digital interaction, and that's something
absolutely.
interesting. So Raheem is here, Raheem Ali Abbas. Raheem, he was on our panel, the previous panel that we had about the new face of HR. Raheem is a seasoned HR head. He's a cluster manager for an organization called Switzer, which is part of the Maersk Group. Raim said, great stuff. He's saying, keep it up. A quick throw at the panel. Why can't an HR or an L&D profession not lead or be in a business role? So yeah, I think he was commenting when we were discussing about if I correct Rain, that's what you. I think he was commenting when we were talking about why cannot be a learning person be in the
In a
CEO.
C-level position.
Yeah.
I have a question and I'll throw this to Ramiz and then I'll come back to others. It says it's from Zuair Kizilbas. Zuair, the last that I know, I think you were part of British Council. If I'm not wrong, what do you think about the idea of taking out the L&D role from the core HR function and putting it into the business leads and functional leads roles and responsibilities? Every function requires a specific skill set and they should run the LD themselves. Oh, this is a loaded one.
Oh
This is a
God.
loaded one. And I think that's a discussion that we've also had with our line heads. So let me start it with Ramiz and then go to so I'll repeat the question one more time. What do you think about the idea of taking out the L&D role from the core HR function and putting it out into the business leads roles and responsibilities? So in short, Zohair is saying that L&D को फारिग करें और हर manager को L&D की responsibility दें, but every function requires a specific skill and they should run the L&D themselves. Ramiz.
So, Noman, well, definitely, Joe, usually different organizations have different models in terms of L&D. Some works on business partnering model with L&D, some work on the centralized L&D model. Definitely, I agree that every function has different requirements, but अगर आप देखें तो learning में भी there are two skill sets. One, you talk about the technical skill set, and the other you talk about the soft skill set. Soft skill set as an organization, employees has to be on a single page. Whereas on the technical skill sets, yes, I agree. Different functions, different skill sets. So if you put only in the functional skill set and giving them the role of an L&D, so again, the responsibility of a L&D professional is more in identifying their needs. Function can identify need and then it can done centrally by HR function, or if the role lies there as they have to execute uh, the need as well, that can be done too. But my point is, in order to be on a common skill set of softer side of a skill, the organization has to be on the same page.
Right. So there has to be a departmental strategy and an organization-wide strategy. Haris, you
Organizational
want to add
strategy.
to it? Line manager as
So
an L&D responsible L&D head of their own department.
I think, Numan, most of the problem that is rising or are there in the L&D, I think are just because that the line managers or the functional managers are not taking charge of this. See, every line manager is an HR manager. ठीक है? HR department is not a police department, who just go and like have to discipline everybody. Or HR gives a broader respect. HR gives a foundation, or you can say as overall strategy for the organization, and then managing your human resource is your responsibility as functional manager and a line manager. You can always seek advice, or you can say assistance from HR professionals or L&D professionals in doing some things. Definitely they are there, but obviously this responsibility is already with you. So when HR representative or L&D representative comes to you, sits with you, and tries to craft, or the individual development plan of an individual, you should show 100% of your interest. Not like that HR has come up with a catalog and you say acha ye karwa do, ye karwa do, ye karwa do, done. So I think the lacking that is there, and they are responsible somehow for this situation what is prevailing at this point in time. So they are already the L&D manager for their people, and I think if they have not realized it, this is the high time that they should. One thing that they need to understand is, as line manager, they need to get out of this insecurity thing कि मैं अपने से नीचे वाले बंदे को सिखा दूंगा तो मेरा क्या होगा. अरे सर, आपने जब रिप्लेस होना होगा ना, तो आपसे बहुत बेहतर स्किल सेट एंड क्वालिफाइड जो लोग हैं वो मार्केट में भी अवेलेबल होंगे. यू विल बी रिप्लेस्ड बाय समबडी आउट ऑफ द ऑर्गेनाइजेशन. So I think this insecurity is being playing a very devil's role at most of the point, and line managers or functional managers need to get rid of this mindset and inculcate a learning culture within their departments. This is how HR's strategy of making an organization a learning organization can be, can be achieved, I guess.
I'd like to add on
Implemented.
to it also.
Implemented. Yeah. So Zohar Haris is saying that responsibility देने की जरूरत नहीं, responsibility already है, उन्हें लेने की जरूरत है. Atika, your 2 cents on this.
I've been very patient throughout. This is like
The
very.
minute this question flashed, I could see your face changing. I could see like I want to go for this. Yeah.
Because I want her to understand the role of L&D. This is like asking a question: why do we need procurement? Every function can do their own procurement. Or why do we need finance? Every function can manage their own finances. You cannot. L&D is a specialized role. Please try and understand. And I would disagree with Ramesh here also that the functional managers can identify their job ends where they can identify the roles and then comes to us. And so our role as L&D professionals is very holistic. I believe if we are not supporting the business in identifying the learning solutions, it'll be a disaster. So we are experts basically in identifying where actually the gap is, because a lot of times, because they are not business, they're not experts in uh, probably learning solution identification. They can tell you the challenge. Business can always tell you where the problem lies. It cannot tell you how to solve it. That's where our role comes into play. We tell them, okay, this is the challenge. This cannot be sorted through a learning solution. This is a problem that probably has to cater through a process change. So our job, we are the ones, we are business experts, we have that eye, and we tell them, fine, these are your challenges. Out of these 20 challenges, we think 10 of these can be catered through, these are being caused due to performance gaps, and we can cater them through learning solutions or interventions. And then we prepare such interventions. And our role doesn't end there also. Our role is to make sure that whatever intervention we are proposing is, you know, as customized as it could be, as per the needs of the department, and is as per the dynamics of our organization. And we have to make sure that the retention happens also, and we have to make sure that there is behavior change also, because our job doesn't end by offering the solution. We have to see through the entire cycle, and we have to see through if it's actually impactful or not also. And then where the manager's role comes into play here, I think, as both of my colleagues mentioned, it is their role. All of them are HR managers. Capability development of their resource is one of the most critical responsibilities that a manager has. So, by having a L&D function, we are not saying that the manager has no accountability of it. I think the entire accountability of their team development and succession planning lies in the hands of a manager, not HR. HR is supposed to provide you the solution, the intervention, but the responsibility and accountability of capability development lies with the manager. And that's where we draw a line between what's their role and what's our role. It is a collaborative process. We cannot offer anything in silo, and they cannot manage it in silo without us, I think.
Right. Yeah. I think interesting, and that's the comment. Also, great discussion. It's from Mariam. Mariam is a client also. She's from L&D Martin Dodd themselves. I have something really interesting from Naeem. Now, Naeem is part of procurement. In Sanofi, Dubai, right? And he's rightly saying budgets are an issue. I think this would be one of the last few questions. And if there is any other questions from our viewers, please do add them in the comments and we'll take it. This is a challenge that as L&D specialists we face, right? Budgets slash होते हैं तो सबसे पहले L&D के slash होते हैं. How as L&D specialists do you really fight for the right resources and the right budgets to be given to you? And what are some of the challenges that you face? I'll start with Atika, and then I'll quickly go down to Ramiz, and then I'll come to you, Haris, for the concluding remarks.
Can you put that question again, Noman, on screen?
He was generally talking about budgets, right? He was just talking about that these days budgets are an issue, and most companies are going for e-learning. So I think picking up from his comments, budgets have always been an issue for an L&D professional when you have to fight with the business for it, right?
It has been. It has been rightly said. It has been a huge issue, but I think during these times, I think for a lot of businesses, it is extremely difficult to take out budgets for learnings. And then, as per the dynamics, I mean, it's not even possible to have anything other than e-learning or virtual trainings. But I feel necessarily dollar value to for capability development is not necessary. As L&D, we have already come up with a lot of alternative solutions. You could utilize your in-house expertise, uh, uh, upskill them on facilitation skills and virtual training skills, and make use of them. Create a facilitation school within the organization, create a trainers club within the organization, and engage these people. It will add on to employee engagement also, and this will not stop the learning and development chain within the organization, lead to continuous learning. And then you can, there are lots of free available resources out there. So much that you can do without spending an arm and a leg, I feel.
Right. So innovative ways of looking at budgets. And I think my question was also on how do you negotiate getting resources from the business? Ramiz?
Well, again, building on the same question, if you talk about budgets, I agree with Atika that budgets cannot be a constraint to stop any learning and development activity. You can use the pool of your internal trainers, because if you remember the 70-20-10 rule of learning, the 10 part is only the face-to-face learning. The rest, the 90% of the learning comes within the organization and with the experience.
Right.
So yeah, you can always impart learning with lower cost budgets. And the second part is how you negotiate for your budget. Well, that also depends on the situation of the business that is there at the moment. If the business is not in a situation like this pandemic, then obviously you can negotiate with the business that what are the areas where this expense has to go. because some of the interventions you cannot do internally. For some of the interventions, probably you need to go external. So, in order to add more value,
I
you
think
can
just
negotiate
by
on that.
adding on to what Ramir is saying, I think just creating a link between business strategy and
Yeah,
showing them
Yes,
the outcome, final outcome of
outcome.
why we are doing this intervention and how it
Yes.
will
right.
benefit the business in the longer run. If you give them that perspective, I think negotiation becomes way easier.
Right. So making sense of the why and
Why?
how
Yeah,
would automatically take care of it. Simon
yeah,
Sinek made it very easy for us.
yeah.
Interestingly, Zoer says thank you, and thank you, Zoer, for that loaded question, which charged
All of us woke us up.
all of
Yeah.
panel. Yeah, all L&D professionals over here. Yeah. So Haris, any comments on the budgets part? I think you're moving
Yeah,
towards the end of this. It has been a great conversation, Haris. Yeah.
yeah, sure, Numan. होता ही है eventually, बात करके हम आखिर में वहीं आ जाते हैं कि क्यों करना है, जरूरत है नहीं है,
I
ठीक
think
है?
we
तो
started off our conversation from there and
We
we're
started
ending
with
it
it
from the
and we
same.
ended
Why?
with
How do we
it.
negotiate budget? Which is so sad.
happens, it happens in most of the discussions that we start कि क्या जरूरत है, and then eventually जब budget लेने जाते हैं, भी कहते हैं क्या जरूरत
क्या
है.
जरूरत है?
So, so we only, I'll just advise as so all the L&D professionals who are coming in, they need to have a lot of patience to survive in this in this
Yeah,
profession, and
absolutely.
they
And I
have
think what
to,
I'll do is in my next panel, I'll get the people from the operations and the business and let's heart to heart with them also, because then it would be fun. And one of the buzzwords, maybe we can have the business perspective on L&D and HR
Oh
also.
yes, yes, yes.
yeah,
So
definitely
before we
much
move
needed.
towards the end of the show, thank you very much for all the viewers who were interacting. Thank you, Naeem. Thank you, Zuhair. Thank you, Saib. And this has been an interesting conversation, and how L&D would shape the future of the organizations, and how L&D is shaping the future of individuals, and how we personally need to take responsibility of ourselves. Before I end, quick rapid fire, one word or one phrase from my panel. When I say reimagine L&D, what would you say?
One word.
One word
That
or
is
one
like
phrase? Rapid fire, quickly. I don't want details. I just want a quick gut feel. What comes to your mind? The minute I say reimagine L&D,
I
what
think
comes to your
I feel learning is going to be a collaborative social marketplace, a learning hub in the years to come. Um, more less one dimensional and more collaborative.
That's interesting. It's a collaborative social market space for all the organizations. Ramiz,
A,
putting you on
jo-
the spot. One word or one phrase?
a, a joint organizational effort.
A joint organizational efforts. Amazing. Haris?
Yeah, I think, yeah. So to reimagine, we need to imagine it first, of course, and and I seriously, I say that. With a positive perspective, we need to look at it again, and it's everyone's responsibility, not only an L&D manager or L&D head. It's every single person's responsibility within organization. Even my message to all the people who are watching this and will watch this video, uh, if your organization is not investing in yourself, you need to invest in yourself if you want to keep yourself up with the market, with the industry, and if you seek a bright future.
Great. So, some amazing insights, Atika, Ramiz, Haris. Thank you very much for giving your time, your precious time. Thank you for preparing for all of this. I hope the viewers who are here and who are still here, you enjoyed it. Please do leave your comments for us to know how you felt, and do subscribe to our channel on YouTube. And again, thank you very much for your time. And I hope that you would be available for future BizWords also. And hope to see
Thank
you soon.
you.
Thank you. Goodbye. Allah
Thank
Hafiz.
you. Thank you, Naman.
Stay healthy.
Thank
Goodbye.
you, Noman.
Thank you.